And Dr. Guy's been really helpful, and also Dr. Bowman in helping us get to where we want to be as a Navajo company giving back. But with that, we're gonna turn the time over here. We have our featured speaker this morning. She came all the way up from Winter Rock to join us. Many of you have seen her before, but one of the reasons we asked her to be here is she's an empowered woman. And if you look at our flyer, it says Empowering Women. And we want to select role models that could share their stories and express their empowerment to other ladies. So that's why we are happy to have Ms. Dottie Eliza here this morning.
Thank you and good morning. She'e Dottie Eliza Minisha Kia Ani Mishla Mahi Dishkizni Bashishi, but Atni Dashiche. You know, I have roots in Crown Point. My grandparents, maternal grandparents, Kenneth and Helen Cody, lived here over just stone's throw away here at Heartbeat. So I know some of you know where Heartbeat is, and so I do have roots here. You know, my grandparents have passed on, and bless their heart, you know, they really brought us up in the way they should have. You know, they brought me up in a home that was a believer in God, and so I thank them for that. But it's an honor and it's a humble opportunity to address today as we address the issue of missing and murdered Indigenous women across Navajo Nation, across other tribal communities, and also the United States. You know, there's many women who are missing and later on found murdered, and so this speaking engagement is not an easy subject. You know, it's not something easy to talk about because we're talking about the life and death of our family members, our mothers, our grandmothers, our daughters, our granddaughters, and other individuals we care so deeply about. So this is a very sensitive subject. And I've always said that, you know, I'm not a political person. You know, we're a family that have been in business for over 50 years, 51 years, and that's what my background is. You know, I was talking to some of the ladies here. My degree is in accounting and business administration, and so, you know, having a family business, that's eventually what my degree was in. And so I'm not here to make any political stances. I'm here to speak about choosing faith over fear. The fear of the possibility of maybe being stalked or harassed, kidnapped. Again, these are sensitive issues, tortured, trafficked, or even being killed. We can no longer stand aside to allow this hurtful and destruction to continue. You know, my faith is where, you know, when we think about fear, that's where my faith is. My faith comes in because the word says, you know, God did not give us a spirit of fear, but of love and of power and of sound mind. My purpose in attendance today is to bring faith, hope, and love to those needing a brighter day in their darkest hour of need. And so, you know, when we're in that dark place, that's what we need. And there's also a root to this evilness. It has been estimated that every 2 minutes around the world, a life is being stolen. It's being bought and sold as a mere commodity that will be facing cruel acts. This is wrong in every perspective, especially in today's society. We truly believe that every human being is valuable and must be protected. This must be a time to realize that it will take each of us to be defenders of our family, our friends, and our community members. The exact number of people who go missing are hard to track, often very inconsistent and underreported. Yet this issue is a global reality, and it's just going up. More and more women are going missing. More and more women, girls are murdered. Human trafficking and missing and murder does not have one answer or one solution, as we heard earlier. There's not one solution, there's not one answer. There are thousands of Navajos here around in our great nation who need us. They need us to say, no longer is it about the credit that we take about what we're doing, how we're doing it. It's about the mission and why we're here today, the mission of MMIW, the mission of missing and murdered Indigenous women. No longer is it about, oh, we're not going to work with legislative or executive, or if it's a Republican or Democratic standpoint. We're going to all rally together to be able to push back this darkness and push back the evil. And sometimes we ask ourselves, how do we combat missing and murdered Indigenous women? We must truly understand that each human being is an image of God, as each human has the probability of being captured, exploited, and bound to be modern-day slaves. We must be proactive by helping to create and support programs such as NTEC and what they're doing to preserve and strengthen the family unit. We truly believe that the children's lives begin at the family dinner table. I think many of us have heard President and Vice President talk about the picture that hangs on the wall in the stateroom. There's a family sitting in a circle much like this, dirt floor, and they're all happy, sitting and eating. And that's where faith building comes in, the do's and the don'ts. We must actively respond to the crisis by partnering with those executing physical rescue missions and those providing for the immediate needs of survivors. We must continue to remain deeply committed to supporting the missing and murdered family members and survivors, long-term recovery through communities of care, providing them with tools of physical, mental, emotional, social, and spiritual healing, thus empowering their liberation from the cycle of the trauma abuse in their lives and find their way to a new life of freedom in Christ. Amen. And I think, we talked about students earlier. The students are away from home, they're away from mom, they're away from dad, and sometimes you are their advocate, you are their parent, you are their father. So sometimes even taking that little small step, helping the students to understand what's out there, the evilness that's out there. In closing, we are committed to supporting those affected by this crime against humanity. Together we can make a real and lasting impact in the war of missing and murdered Indigenous women and human trafficking. Your support is needed in this life-saving and life-changing rescue mission. Let's unite to help bring light to the very darkest of places, including our Navajo Nation. Please be safe and always look out for your friends and be respectful of your community. I have a quote out there that says, as we still face challenges during this pandemic, we will continue to pray and support the efforts to heal our homes and our communities. Violence continues to impact our families and communities, and we must be there for one another as a mother, as a father, as a brother, and a sister. Today, let's remind ourselves to check on our families and our neighbors and all our relatives. We cannot lose another relative to violence. So today I want to thank Intech for what they are doing and to bring this to light, to bring this together, this event together, and for NTU for allowing us to use their facilities to talk about the sensitive issue about MMIW and the families and the victims and their survivors, because they are out there. So thank you again for allowing us to be here, and I appreciate Intech and all that they do and the events that they have. And so let's pray for their event this week as they go through, and so more and more people are aware and they know of what's happening. So thank you. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. It's okay to clap. It's okay to clap. So I want to say thank you again, Mr. and Mrs. Leiser. It's really good. Those words are really awesome. And as they were saying, this is a sensitive topic, for a lot of us. In traditions, we're not taught to talk about these kind of things. We're taught to not focus on and kind of ignore, in a sense. So, it takes a lot of courage to be here this morning. So, thank you guys for being here. And next we have a presentation from Behavioral Health. Phoebe Hardy, she's going to be talking next, and I believe she has a presentation, but I'm just going to turn the microphone over to you. You see how we're set up, and I know it's a little different than what we had originally planned, but we'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. Good morning. I am tired. And you guys are talking about a healthy relationship. I am burnt out. Yesterday, I said it was going to be my birthday. Well, let me introduce myself first. My name is Phoebe Hardy. My plans are with Atni and Shlem, Hashishni, Bashishni, Tubai Dashache, and Tuaglini Zaydashanale. I'm originally from Nashchiri, but I live in Standing Rock almost 30 years. And I work here in Crown Point with the Division of Behavioral Mental Health Services. I work with so many different programs with the Navajo Nation, and everybody says, how come you haven't retired? I said, I'm not ready to retire. So yesterday was my birthday, and I said I was going to take my time. I was going to stay home, enjoy the day, but no, my granddaughter called, Grandma, can you help me at the powwow? I ended up going to Albuquerque yesterday. From 10 o'clock to 5 o'clock, I stood there making fry bread. Oh my God, I couldn't believe the line. And I was trying to make it, I said, come on, you guys. And everybody kept coming, different Native Americans. They kept coming up. Isn't your hands tired? If you make bread every day, your hands shouldn't be tired. If it's your first time, yes, your hands are going to be tired. They were watching me how to make the dough, and they go, what do you do? That we do the same thing you're doing. I said, are you thinking negative or are you thinking positive when you make food? You gotta be positive when you make food and it comes out good. I said. And Jonathan Nez walked up, he goes, you're making bread. He knew who I was because I have my behavioral health cap on. So he was picking on me. I tried to give him the dough to help me. He wouldn't help me out though. So. But anyways, that's what happened yesterday, so I really enjoyed myself. I barely got home about 11 o'clock last night. Then this morning, can you please do a presentation at NTU? I was like, okay, I'll do it. I'll see how far I get, I said to her. But that's who I am, Phoebe, and some of you probably know who I am. My sister here, Brenda, she was out there too, advertising for NTU. But that's who I am, and thank you for being here. This is the first time I got this close to you. Otherwise you're way out there. Yeah, so welcome. Thank you guys, everybody. And this morning I asked, what is my presentation going to be on? And she said, healthy relationship. And I thought about it. I was sitting there. Man, my computer wasn't working. Everything just wasn't working this morning. And then she goes, it has to go off of the missing and murder. And I told her, I said, you know, this missing and murdered, I said, in my mind, it always makes me just think of just the women only. It doesn't, you know, bring up the men. It doesn't. And I'm going to bring this up. My son had come home. He lived with me for almost 6 months. He left one morning, and he's a city boy. He said, I'm going to Window Rock. So he left to Window Rock. And I said, I can take you. He goes, no, I'm going to hitchhike. I want to see what it's like to hitchhike. So he left. 3-4 days, he didn't call. We didn't know where he was at. So I put in a missing person, filed a missing person with Window Rock. And I didn't want to do that, but I had to because we couldn't find him nowhere. So I did my report, and I said, you know, let's go down to Hopi. He was with a Hopi girl. Let's go see her. We made it as far as to Burnside. My tire was low. And when your tire's low and there's no air compressor around, you think, wow, how am I going to fix my tire? I don't want to be on this donut. So what happened was, the first thing that came to my mind, it's telling us to turn around and go home. Go home. What are you doing out here? Some of us moms know that, right? It's telling us something. So me and my sister, my niece, my husband, I lost him in December. But we turned around, we got back to Window Rock. And I was like, why isn't the Navajo Nation out there really looking for our children? Why are they're just sitting in their office? I was getting upset. I was getting mad. But as we came back, we got to that speedway. We got there. I don't know what happened to me right there by Speedway, by San Benito. I started shaking. I couldn't drive. My whole body started shaking. I couldn't breathe. And I looked up ahead. There's that wash right there. A bunch of ambulance, fire department, Navajo Nation police, the state police, the sheriff, they were parked there. So I just slammed on my brakes, I moved over, and then my niece got out, and she goes, let me go ask. So she went over and she saw one of the investigators. They came up to me and asked me, what was your son wearing? What did your son have on? I mentioned every tattoo that was on his body. He had a tattoo here on his arm, and that tattoo said, don't mean nothing. And I always ask him, why do you have that on your arm? Don't mean nothing. And he said, the reason why I have that on my arm, because no matter what you do, he would always say that his father-in-law said, I'm a veteran. They don't care. They don't do anything. They don't care. It don't mean nothing. So that was in his mind. So what his father-in-law had told him, he put that on his arm. Don't mean nothing. So whatever you do out there doesn't mean nothing. I said, son, no, everything does mean something. But he was holding his clipboard like this, and I was telling him about my son. He even probably has an ID. If he has his ID, it has Albuquerque on. And I happened to look at his clipboard. My son's name was right up on top. And he kept looking at that board. Every time I say something, he looked back. And I said, "Is that my son's name?" He pulled that clipboard. He goes, "No." "Is that my son down there?" He said, "No." "Hold on, ma'am," he said. He left. Within a few minutes later, he came back. He says, "Ma'am, I'm so sorry." Man, did I fall down to the ground, and I hit that ground so hard. I don't know how hard you can say you hit Mother Earth. I cried, I yelled, I screamed. I prayed to you, God. I asked you to bring my son back. Why? I ran, they held me back and wouldn't let me go down. My sister was coming on us, she kept yelling, "No, no, no." She came back. And I sat there, crying on the ground. As cold as it was cold, but I wasn't even cold. My husband got out of the ride and he kept saying, "Is that son?" I said, "Yes." To this day, they still have him as missing. They still had him as being murdered. I still try to fight the system. I cannot. Finally, they have to close it. And I said, maybe it's a good thing that they just closed it. Just leave it. Why do I keep going back? I kept going back to where they found him. And I thought about it. I drive the GSA, going through there, crying, yelling, screaming. Why? But there's one person that came up to me. Every time you go through there, say Benito, that wash. Every time you go through there, you pray. You pray for your son. You pray for yourself. I started doing that. I finally got used to it. Sometimes I'm talking away and I forget that area. But I always say that, our missing and murdered are a lot of ladies that are out there. I seen a couple of girls when I was at Chuska. I worked out there with a lot of young girls, and a couple of them were missing and murdered. And it hurts because they used to call me mom. There's a lot of children out there, even some staff here, that call me mom still. And I'm always happy. Yesterday I asked them, "How old do you guys think I am?" How old do you guys think I am? Not my sister, everybody else. How old do you guys think I am? 21? Thank you. 38. Anybody else? 45. 60. 50. I am 63 years old. And my children were telling me yesterday that I look 20, I look 40. Nobody said 63. Nobody. I said, I keep myself going as a mom. I don't put myself down. We all have to keep going forward. We can't look back. But with our healthy relationship, I just wanted to bring that story up, so, just thought I'd talk about it. So I had a PowerPoint, everything else, but I'll go ahead and go over that. How long do I have? Okay. The presentation that I do, I pretty much go to 2 hours, but I'm going to try to make it shorter for the healthy relationship today. What we mainly talk about during our healthy relationship presentation is the sign of unhealthy relationship. How many of you have a real good relationship, no problem at all? Okay. How many of you in the morning wake up and you start yelling at the kids and tell them to get on the bus? Hurry up, you guys need to hurry and get, and you start yelling at them. Okay, and then they get on the bus, right? Who yells at them? The bus driver, right? Then they go to school. Who yells at them again? The teacher. They go home, the bus driver yells at them again. Then you're home again. Hurry up. Go do this, wash the dishes, take out the trash. We start yelling at our children, right? The kids are being yelled at every day, and yet we say we have a good relationship with our children, our spouses. And what do you say? Go take the trash out, go do this, wash your dishes, clean the house. Today, I worked really hard. I was the only one in the office that did everything. How many of us say that when we get home? Majority of us, right? We say these things, but our children start acting up because we're constantly pushing them every day. Tell your children you love them. It's hard to say, I love you. My sister always says that, my little sister. She calls us, she talks to us. Every time she hangs up, she always says, I love you. I love you, and she wants to hear you say, I love you back. So we say, I love you. Now our brother-in-laws, they really rub it into us ladies. I love you, so we say the same thing back to them too. There is healthy, unhealthy relationship. There's healthy boundaries, right? We have boundaries. But a lot of us, that pandemic now, today, man, how many of you are so glad that it's 6 feet apart? How many of you are glad that you have your mask on because you don't have to say nothing, you just walk by? Right? Oh, 6 feet apart, I'm glad I'm away from her. Is that healthy? How many of you go up and say, hey, it's so good to see you. I didn't recognize you with your mask on. Right? And your hand's already out there to give a fist. Yep. Before we used to really shake hands, right? Now, some of us, before when we used to shake hands, some people used to just barely tap you. Hi, how are you doing? And they just walk up. What kind of a handshake is that? My daughter, man, don't shake her hands. Once she gives you that handshake, she'll have that real good grip, and everybody's like, oh, that hurt it. They walk away from her. And she always does that. She always has that handshake. Now my other daughter, oh, she's a welder now. And the other daughter, she lifts weight, and now she's starting to. I said, you girls need to be careful how you shake hands. Just go ahead and use your fists instead. I said, so they do that a lot too, is they always give that handshake. What can we do in a healthy relationship? What are some of the things that we could do? Communicate. That's the number one thing, right? Communicate. How many of you go home, oh, I'm just going to give everybody a silent treatment. I'm going to stay silent today. Oh, this morning, this is what he said, this is what she said. Right? Is it healthy? Did you know that us ladies can hang on to a grudge for the longest time? We can, right? I'm 63 years old, 80 years old. I can still hang on to a grudge. But you know what? I learned how to forgive. So I don't hang on to that grudge. So if there's somebody out there that you have a grudge with, let it go. Because you're hurting yourself. You're not hurting anybody else but yourself. What about a guy? How long do you guys hang on to a grudge? 80 years? How long? Did you know that when you start arguing with a guy and you tell him you're like this and you're like that, and you tell him everything you want to, and man, you have to say the last word, oh yes, I won this fight this morning, right? But once he says, oh, I don't want to hear this, I'm out of here. He walks out that door, gets in his ride, he goes down the road. Guys hang on to their grudges for 15 minutes. They forget everything you said to them this morning, and all day you're mad and angry about it. Right? And then he comes back home, 5 o'clock. Oh, good, what's for supper? Remember this morning you said this to me? You told me I was like this? Right? We start off again. Is that healthy? No. So if you have a grudge with somebody, let it go. It ain't worth it. You have healthy boundaries. You have boundaries. There's different boundaries. We can talk about boundaries too. That's an exciting one, interesting one. But I need my whiteboard and everything, but that goes into. So, ladies, forget it, let it go. If you hang on to it, you're hurting yourself. You're not hurting the other person. If that person, her and I, we were arguing for almost 80 years, 60, we'll say 60 years, we were arguing. And I came back to her and I told her, I'm sorry that I said this to you for 60 years. What is she going to say to me? Oh, I forgot it a long time ago. And here I am just at her, right? So these grudges, we're hurting ourselves, we're putting ourselves down. That's why today we have health problems. Our head is constantly going 90 with a headache. So all these things happen to our body. I don't know why my body hurts me. I don't know why I'm like this. It's because what we put on somebody came back to us. Be careful what you say. Be careful what comes out of your mouth, because it's going to turn around and it's going to hit you hard. It's going to put you down. Then there goes your health. And here we say, oh, I'm walking around with a healthy life. All of us, even our health sometimes get to us. Now that the hospitals are closed, we can't even go see our providers. I don't even have a provider today. And they're getting after me to get a provider. And I keep saying, why? I don't have a medical record yet. I tease them. But I have to be careful what I say too, because it can hit me. I played basketball last week with the kids. I played baseball. The only game I didn't like was playing softball with the little kids, because I never liked softball. Basketball I can play with them. I was a coach for how many years? And I played. So our healthy relationship. And I say that there's boundary. You know, sometimes you see TikTok, right? There's this one guy that just makes me laugh all the time. And I try to not watch him, but I watch him. I stay off of Facebook. All I do is I watch what people put down. But when it's my family putting another family down, or criticizing, or saying something, I call them up them in the morning and I tell them, take that thing off of Facebook right now. Or out, I'm going to take leave and I'll go see you, I want you to take it off. So the family's really careful what they say on Facebook. Facebook, how many of you are on Facebook? How many of you just see what's on there? How many of you comment? Sometimes we comment real good, right? Good morning, makes you feel good. Me, I stay off of it as much as I can, but sometimes it's like, okay, I gotta see what my family put. I gotta see what's on there. So I check sometimes. We do have a healthy wheel, but I wish I could have, showed most of my PowerPoint to you guys. A red flag behavior on an unhealthy behavior. Sometimes we have like domestic violence. We talk about domestic violence, the physical, people punching, hitting, That's an unhealthy relationship. People being bullied. How many of you are bullied at work? It happens at work, in our workplace, right? There's a lot of bullying out there. It's not just our little kids that are at school. It's not high school. There's workplace bullying. There's a lot. It's really bad. How many of you come to work, you get upset, you get angry, and you put your coffee down, and, oh, I spilled my coffee again. Our behavior shows what kind of relationship, an unhealthy relationship we have, or if we have a good relationship. Verbal. What about verbal? A person that is wearing something. Did you see what she's wearing? Did you see him? Right? Those are verbal behaviors. Treating threats. Also, what about how many of you isolate yourself? You stay away from people. You're just too busy. I started doing that. I really started isolating myself because I really started getting tired of hearing the gossip. I stopped hearing most of what people were talking about, criticizing each other's in the workplace. And I just couldn't take it anymore. And then one by one, staff come into your office. Are you okay? Are you all right? I haven't seen you today. Yep, I'm okay. I'm all right. But we have that isolation. There's too many people today that are isolated. Especially with this pandemic, right? I don't want to go out there because I don't want to catch anything. We isolate. Then we start thinking, then there goes our behavior. Then some of us start getting headaches, start feeling sick, and we take it home, we take it out on someone else. What about financial? How many of you get upset? Oh, your hardship is gone now. Man, you look forward to that hardship, right? I'm getting money. I'm happy. Once that hardship came in and we spend it in one day because we paid our light bill, we paid our vehicle bill, we paid most of our bills, and there went our $2,000. So we'll ask for some more money today, okay? Some of them haven't even gotten their money yet. Imagine what they're going through. How is their, healthy lifestyle at home? Unhealthy. A lot of people say that, man, I didn't even get my hardship yet. My daughter came here and I was upset with her Friday. I told her, get up, get in line, because there is going to be one. She goes, no, Mom, I know. There's not. What did she do? She ended up coming. She didn't even put on a jacket. She was in line. This line was long. And she goes, I'm glad you woke me up. I'm glad I got it. Come to find out, she got her first hardship. But the second one, they told her that her name wasn't even in the system, plus her 2 kids. So she had to reapply. She goes, now I'm looking forward to my hardship. So that's what happened to a lot of people. There's a lot of people that came from South Dakota, some people that came out here. There's a lot of people. But money sometimes gets us angry, right? Gets us mad. We have to have money. When you have money, you're always happy. What about culture? What about our behavior and culture? How many of you are told to stay away from your belief? Some of us are, huh? What about attending, ceremonies or church? I always tell everybody on both ways, traditional Christianity I was raised mainly with Christianity until I met my husband. We went Native American church with him, me and my girls. Now my husband is no longer here. Seemed like we're turning around and going back to church again. But we still have that belief of what he taught us. And the only thing that really, really helped me was a women's sweat lodge. That really helped me because I've gone through a lot. And I have ladies out there that invite me. I go out there. I only have run 2 sweat lodges. Now they're trying to certify me. I said, nope, I'm not going to get certified yet. So behavioral health has my hands tied. Said, okay, you're going to sign this. I said, nope, I'm going to keep my hands back here. I'll wait. But that's what helped me. It really did help me. With the loss, the grief that I've gone through, it helped me a lot. Okay. What about sexual? Healthy relationship. Unhealthy relationship. The behaviors that are out there. How many black and blue marks do you have and say, oh, I just ran into the door, oh, I ran into, we start, right? We defend the other person. I was in a hurry and I ran into a door and I hit the door on the side here and I got a blue mark. My grandkids noticed. Che's not here, how come you got a blue mark? I said, Che never hit me. I said, so they saw that mark and I told them what had happened. So when you get older, anything you barely hit, you end up with a blue mark, a bruise. So take care of yourself. You have peer pressure, anger, emotional abuse, using social status, intimidation. These are power and control, blaming. How many of you love to blame? Man, do we feel good blaming, right? It makes us feel good to blame. But we really have to be careful when we blame. Because how many fingers are turning back at you? 3, right? You blame. 3 fingers are back at you. Be careful what you say. Threats. What about threats? Okay, what makes a healthy relationship? Trust. Do we have trust? Very few trust out there, right? What about honesty? Good communication, we heard that. What about fighting fair? Let's fight fair. Do you know how to fight fair? Give in. Do we have problem solving? Self-confidence. Oh, how many of you are role models? Okay, be a role model. Understanding. Those are all good, healthy relationships. Support one another. Encourage. Give them comfort. Somebody is out there that needs you. Somebody to talk to. This is what I'm going through. Your trust. I trust very few people. I'm really careful because what I said once came back, and I didn't say it that way. So be careful how you say it. Just trust somebody. So you're healthy and you're unhealthy. You're unhealthy, people criticize. There's abuse. People that check your phone. How many of you have somebody that checks your phone all the time? How many of you hide your phones from that individual? Right? We all do. Lies, unhealthy lies, choices. There's some of the warnings, extreme jealousy, your temper. How many of you can control your temper? How many of you just let your temper get out of control? What about your mood swing? This morning, he or she was okay this morning. Now they threw a mood swing, right? So all these unhealthy and healthy relationship can really cause us to really, really get sick. So take care of yourself. Talk to people that you can. Support each other's, accept each other's. And some of the things that you could do is listen. Don't always use the I statement. How many of you, I did this, I done that, I was the one, right? We don't say we. So learn how to say the we. But if you did it all by yourself, you did a good job. If you were there all alone. Making time. Having that time with people. Okay, show respect, trust, support, be honest. Communicate, continue to communicate. We have a couple of hotlines that are out there. If you're really feeling down, you know that, this is, I'm done with this, right? A lot of people today that attempt suicide, depression, stress, anxiety, all this comes into an unhealthy relationship. So we turn it around, make it a better relationship. Make sure you put, since you have a phone, make sure you put some of these numbers in your phone. PD's number, 505-786-2050. Every day I get a call that there's something going on out there. You know why? My phone is 2250. My direct line is 2250. And people call and say, and I try to tell them, hold on. This is not PD. This is behavioral health. So there's the police department, there's Chinle, there's Delcon, there's Kayenta, there's Tuba City, there's Winderall. In New Mexico, you have Crown Point, Gallup Metro. Make sure you put Gallup Metro's number in your phone number. Crown Point Ambulance Department, put that in your phone. The crisis response team. How many of you know about the crisis response team? Okay, 2 of you. We have a crisis response team. We can also do a crisis response team presentation also. The suicide hotline, put that in your phone also. And we also have our behavioral health, mental health hotline. And I really wanted to, I'll go ahead and bring these hotline numbers over for everybody, okay? So I think my time is up. You are precious, you are unique, you are creative, you are smart, you are intelligent, you are lovable, you are loved, you are sacred. You are a 5-finger holy being. You belong to a clan of relatives. You belong to a family. So I just want to say thank you, and I guess the next person can come up. So thank you.
Thank you for that wonderful knowledge. And there's a lot of things, like we were saying this morning, there's so many aspects that we talk about all day go into some of the unhealthy relationships that lead to the situations we're talking about in terms of MMIW. So these are some of the things that we need to be aware of. So I want to say thank you, Ms. Hardy, for coming out here this morning and helping us with this. And in that, we know there's some people that were saying they need to go. If you need to go, make sure you get a t-shirt and a mask. But now we're going to transition into the self-defense part. So this is the part where it's talking about this morning that, you know, if you find yourself in a situation where you need to defend yourself, we have Officer Johnson and Sergeant Dan here with the Navajo Nation Police Department that's going to be helping us teach some of those skills. And for some of you guys, this might just be helpful to, I don't know. I come from that generation where, you know, violence wasn't what it is today. You know, we used to joke around about how we used to just push each other around, but that's not the thing to say today. So, but these skills, you know, are definitely, you know, my wife one time, she was telling me, this is about 3 years ago, before we got married, she used to, she was in this state, you know, we were kind of off and on. Kind of some of the things you heard about here, that's some of my past, you know, with my wife and our path, how we came together. And there was a portion of our relationship where we were apart and it really hurt her. And what she would do is she would go out and she just go into nature and kind of be by herself, isolate is what she was talking about. And she did this at Burke Park in Farmington. And somebody came up and tried to ask for money from her. And she said, I don't have no money. And then he kind of got forceful and then he tried to attack her. And my wife, fortunately, knew some of these self-defense skills, so she was able to ward off that guy and protect herself. But you never know when or where these kind of skills are going to come up. So that's why we're thankful that the police department is here this morning. And I know also our vice president and second lady, they have a busy schedule, so they'll be heading out here shortly. Again, we thank you all for being here. But the police department has asked that we could just move the chairs to the side, and this is gonna be the fun part. Those of you that are still here, this is the fun part to me. This is where we get active, and this is really gonna be proactive. I'm gonna turn the time over here to Sergeant Dan.
My name's Lucy Dan. I'm a police sergeant with the Navajo Police Department. I am actually currently stationed at the Navajo Police Training Academy. I've been an officer for 24 years, and prior to that, I was in patrol in Tuba City for most of those years. I'm also from Tuba City, and I've worked in Tuba City. I've never really went into any other districts other than assignments. But that's who I am. Kia ani shwe, twitch in bashish chin. Izathan dashinali, hopaha dashche. So that's me, that's my clan. But other than that, I'm going to start off with a little bit of the situational awareness. I think you guys got some of that, just a little bit. But if I show you all like some self-defense moves or little techniques and stuff. Won't really do much good. So I got to touch up on the situational awareness. So almost all of us goes out to shop, right? We got to get groceries. We got to, go to the shopping mall somewhere to, get clothes and all that stuff for our kids. So, and most of the time, who are you guys with? With your children, right? So the one thing, start looking around. Let's say like you're going to the grocery store, okay? You're driving up, look around. Look around at people, where you park at. Be conscious of where you park at, how you park. Look around. Look at people. Even people walking in or walking out, look at their faces. A lot of people, they hide stuff, like around here on their waist most of the time, and we call that the 90 for our language. But people will hide stuff in here. And so be aware of that. The other thing, when start taking notice of people's facial expressions. Now, if someone starts, I'll say when I'm serious and I want something done, like right now, my facial expression changes. When I mean business, people can read my face and say, oh, okay, I can't joke around. She means business. So you can start reading people's facial expressions. Their eyes, just the way they move. Like I'm smiling right now. Can you see my eyes? Okay? You can see the sides, right? Even though I have a mask on. The other thing, how are their hands? Like if I were just walking around or whatever like that, my arms are down, I'm relaxed. Now if I had something to do, my hands are coming up. Okay. Now do you want to move it a little bit more? Or you okay? But you can start looking at the hands. Because these hands right here are what can hurt you the most. So start watching the hands. So if their hands start coming up, and then it's like, what else could mean that maybe that they're going to do something that's going to harm you? They're going to put their hands into a fist, right? In most cases, it's a fist. So body language. Start reading body language. How are they approaching you? Are they like, with their, how are they, because I'm just, for most number of people, they, this is how they stand, right? With feet together. Okay, so what if they squared up with you? And they're getting down a little bit. Hands are up. What does that mean to you? Yeah, they're getting ready to take you out, right? So start reading the body language. It's really important. I go out, sometimes I'll go out, just, like if I were to get lunch with my daughter, I go out we'll park either like at one of the businesses, especially like Bash's or like the flea market. And, we observe people. So then I just tell her, oh, look at that. What do you think they're up to? So, and this isn't just people walking around that. This is like the whole, even the parking lot, just watching people. Okay. The other thing, I was like, look, I see something underneath, on the waistband. What do you think? What do you think it is? Kind of thing. So those things my daughter, I think since she was tiny, old enough to start talking and communicating with her, That was my way of teaching her things. So you guys all have children. When you guys have children, they also need to be aware. So talk to them. Have them be aware. Get them involved. Especially like when you go shopping, you go inside, right? How many of you guys, when you're coming out, you're all pushing the cart, no really looking around other than where you're going, right? Do you guys ever, like in some places we have our individuals who, panhandle, okay? And you see them coming up, but you don't want to make eye contact, and you're just walking. Maybe you walk faster, right? But is there anything wrong with saying, hey, stop? Stay over there. Is there anything wrong with saying that? And a lot of times when one of the panhandlers walking up, they allow that person to walk up and they're just like ignoring them while they're walking. And the guy just talking, like asking for money. So there's nothing wrong with saying, as soon as you see them, stop, leave, don't get any closer, stay over there. So there's nothing wrong with that. Okay? Don't just let them come walking up to you. Another thing, when you're like loading up your groceries or things that you buy, when I'm by myself, the first thing I do if I have my wallet, I don't have I have a purse, but I don't carry that around with me. I have my little wallet, it's got a little loop, so I put it on my wrist. So when I'm shopping, I walk around and take care of that. The other thing, my phone is in there. If it's not in my little wallet thing, I'll have it in my pocket. I don't carry my phone around or look at it when I'm out shopping or out and about. So that's the other thing. Your cell phones are a distraction. Okay? Are you willing to, let's say someone were to come up, are you willing to drop that and let it go to do something to protect yourself? Okay? So I see, in fact, where was I? I was in Farmington over the weekend for the Silence No More, like a 5K run. I was at one of the stores, I don't remember where I was. So, like, I'm ready to back up, I see this family walking by, and this lady, she's like on her phone, she's not like doing two hands, but she's like got one hand here, and she's like tapping away, and she's not looking around. There was no awareness around her for herself at all. If someone were just to back up into her or whatever, she wouldn't even have seen, let's say like when you see someone's gonna back up and you see their tail light, right? So there was none of that. She walked all the way to the back of the truck, and then her family's loading up stuff and she's still on her phone, tapping away. So I'm like, come on, I was tempted to like hit the horn, and I was like, no, I'm gonna not. So I didn't. But situational awareness, things that you do out there. So when you're like, let's say you have your children, right, even if they're small, have one of them be a lookout. Tell them, look around, make sure nobody's coming up, nobody's, let me know if there's something that looks weird to you, have a lookout. Your little ones are little lookouts. The other thing, I'll show you some of the other things as far as, when you have to make contact in some way and they're still at a distance, remember how I was saying, stop, stay over there. Say, you gotta say that. What's it doing? It's getting other people's attention, right? You want other people to see and hear what you're, so that, say the person keeps walking up, they're not listening. How many of you think that you have to get hurt, that you have to get hit first before you can do anything? Raise your hands. There's lots of people out there, especially the ladies, they think that they have to get hit first before they can do anything. I don't think Shannon and I would be here if we waited to get hit first. So, okay. So that's another thing. But don't forget, there's some, you got to do some explaining afterwards, but still, when you feel like you're in danger of getting hurt, anyway, there's no need to wait till you get hit. So the first instance of feeling like you're in danger is when you do your part. And we'll show you that part on physically what to do and how to handle the situation. So, you guys have any questions as far as like situational awareness? Any ideas or anything else?
An idea I have is to make this conversation more engaging to everyone. Because I'm pretty sure as females, we all know when you're leaving a store, look around. Like right now, I don't know if you guys do this, but I know to get out of this building, there's 10 different exits.
Right.
Anything right now. Do them men, having a conversation not only for females, because we know we have to protect ourselves. That's a mentality that men don't have. When you're walking, you see a guy coming up the sidewalk, you get out of his way or you move to the opposite side. But where are the men? I feel like we should have men as part of the solution instead of just the defenders. Why aren't they part of it? Do they experience these things that we go through? Right now, where are the men in this room? I know the nomination here, one is here because he's taking pictures, one's here because he's doing his job. But why is it when it comes to women defending themselves, it's a woman only? I think that's one of the main issues with missing and murdered Indigenous people is, well, it's the females. If they protect themselves, why is it situational awareness for everyone? Why can't men sit here and listen and have to hear what we go through? These little extra precautions. When I leave here from work, I don't know if you guys do this, but I put a key between my fingers. I don't know who's going to come up to me. I check everywhere. And, men don't have that. I don't know, maybe they do, maybe they don't. But, why did all the security leave, when it came to this on women defending themselves? I feel like a lot of these issues that women are going through would be easier to address if men actually stayed in the room to hear the conversation. So I don't know if that's how that can be implemented, but just having ladies, like I said, tell their son, hey, this is what we go through. You guys, kind of bring them aware of the things we have to go through, and we do have to protect ourselves. Yes, that's right. But where are the men and where are the teachings for them, the trainings for them to not be reactive in that way, to respect females' boundaries? If you were to, how you were saying, stop, stay over there, don't come closer to me. We're all automatically being the word, and I'm pretty sure we've all been called it. And, excuse my language, but they say, you're being a bitch. You're a bitch. So being, defending myself, having that voice to protect myself makes me that. But for a man, that's being assertive. Those kind of conversations, I feel like, need to be held, and they're not. Like I said, once it came to the topic of, okay, let's let the women defend themselves, the men want it. It's like women treating women, and yes, we will help each other, we're going to love each other, but where's the men? How are they going to become aware of their presence around females, and how are they going to respect their boundaries when they're not in the room of the conversation? So that's just kind of a
fine. But I'm just saying that a lot of women are single parents, okay? And I'm not saying it's just geared towards women, because men can be victims. And a lot of men are victims. But today, it's for the women. So, a female can fight off anything. And that's what I'm trying to get, is that women can be empowered to not be victims. What you guys are saying, it's important, yes, but that's for another subject that we could probably work on. But today is more geared to showing you a few things for the women, okay? And what you can do. How many of you guys, when you guys were growing up, heard, like, the only time you guys should be going out into the dark, then this isn't just pertaining to women, this is to male and female, by your parents. When I was a kid growing up, I was told, why are you going out there at night? Do you have business, first of all? If you do have business, what is the business? Is it important that you have to attend it? You have to take care of it. But if you don't have business out there, then stay home. Right? So, and that's how I was brought up when I was little. So, that's the reason why I'm in this business. I can roam around at night, run around during the day, so that's my choice in my career. So. But let's form a little circle and just kind of do a little exercise warm up so we can get started on the first thing we're gonna do is like just a stance, and then just like simple strikes that you can do, okay?
And he backed away, and then he went to another lady. The lady was, and I stood there to talk to her. And then the whole thing, the scenario, did not make any sense, none whatsoever. So I called them out, I didn't tell Michelle. I said, I was approached another lady, and I heard them ask the same question. Then I called Walmart, and the lady at Walmart says, oh, that guy came in and asked me the same question. So something is not right. Walmart now is becoming an area where we're the targets. But if you get used to this, getting into your steps and watching out for your surroundings. I'm an old guard from the 70s. And I'm 70 years old. And I still, when I was in academy, it's a little different from what they went through. But when I learned in self-defense, when I was in academy in 1972, let me tell you, I still use it. But become aware of the shopping center. If you park, we automatically take our keys in. We hit the button. Get in the habit of locking manually. That way, if they try to open it with any kind of device, they're not going to be as successful. That's what I've learned. When I'm here on campus, I kind of watch everyone. I've also assisted officers if they needed help with them before. So, and then Virginia and probably know that I'm over religions and everything. So, just to come over here. And no matter how scared you are, social security. Just get in a position that you're ready to go. You know, and I've had people call me down to Kenya, really close. I slow down, I check everything out, I take off, and I follow them, I let them pass me, I write my license plate for them. These are just the habits that I have. And I'll send them to a couple of these. So just become very, very aware. And tell your girls, please. I worry about my one granddaughter. She grew up in an alcoholic family. For someone who is aware of what I talk to my granddaughter, you know, they have to doubt. Be careful. Little did I know, she was sneaking out at 11 o'clock at night to be with her boyfriend. Grandma's fast asleep over here. I had to talk with her. Missing records, young ladies, beautiful young ladies. And somebody's going to say, well, did your grandma talk to you? You know, yes, grandma had a lot to say. But we have to continue to reinforce that. Reinforce. I've got grandkids on camera. They don't like you to talk to the rest of them. I worry about my own granddaughter. My son, my youngest, really did not have anything to do with his kids. Once he said he was going to listen, I gave him back to him. And I don't know what's going on. And it's scary. You see guys these guys are doing their job. So I was studying and watching their movement and stuff like that. Cameras in there, cameras in there, you know, so just continue to tell the girls in the family, please know, please listen, you know. But, you know, I recall I did mess up my arm. I did mess up my wrist. But, you know, no matter what, you protect yourself. You know, and if you have somebody around you who's drinking particularly, they'll say, you know, talk to them. If they get a little rough, that's what you practice. You know. And if you get a chance, start practicing stats. Practice how you're going to put yourself. So, and only because the one guy that approached me at Walmart and seeing how I move, I think he can move it. He can do it. And I do have to do that. We're proud of it. So, that's what I want to share with you guys about.
There's another thing that I noticed on the phone messaging. It says, they're like messages to different numbers, like a lot of them. It says, people paying $500 a day to clean the house. To me, I think that's a scam, and I think we're going to find women. So I always put anger, you know, do not answer, do not respond to this. So I kind of do that. Because I think that's a scam and it's scary to want to clean for $500 a day and then they get taken. Yeah.
Something's too good to be true. Couldn't even turn to use an elbow because he was right behind me pushing me. I yelled, there was nobody around. I called security. This was years ago. They didn't show up. So, like, in that situation, what could I have done? Because, like I said, I couldn't elbow. I couldn't. And at that point, he was right up, flush at the female restroom door. And as much as I was trying to push back, he was shoving me. Like, what could I have done? And I mean, eventually, I just, you know, like once I felt him pushing, I just quickly maneuvered, turned, and I squeezed out the door, and I just started running and yelling. And at that point, an instructor came out of the classroom and helped me. Like, he just came out of nowhere. I honestly don't know where he came. Like, I don't know if he ran out of the men's restroom or if he came. I don't know. But all of a sudden, he was just behind me. Yeah, he was a tall guy, so like, I mean, I could hit his. Yeah, it was just. Get bags. this one to you first. So remember, if you're gonna get close to somebody, they're close distance, they're gonna probably be right here. So really you ought to put something, you gotta punch it, right? So remember, there's chance is here, I'm facing right hand here. I'm gonna stretch the distance, my hand are here, because the closer I am here, I'm able to get up. And the one thing that's protecting my eyes, my ears, all these things, my throat, my breathing area, my respiratory here, I'm protecting that. So my hands are gonna go up. You can do an open heel, right? A lot of people will use their fist. The one thing is that when they strike, a lot of people go in like this.
Jody. How you doing?
Okay.